Three, two, one.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Trees 3 here on Sports Tree Ltd. Folks, I'm Connor Roundtree and we got to start this week's episode off with our news and notes because there's a lot happening around the NFL. First thing first, Tom Brady just signed a 4-year contract extension with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady always said he wanted to play till 45 and this contract will ensure that will happen. And who are we to doubt Tom Brady at this point? The Patriots and Cam Newton have agreed to another 1-year contract, and earlier this week the Chicago Bears used their franchise tag on star wide receiver Allen Robinson. After the first round, the PGA Players Championship is being led by Spaniard Sergio Garcia. He fired a 7-under in the first round, and the 2008 champion was a 90-1 betting long shot entering this weekend. So if you hit him, have fun being glued to your couch for the next 72 hours. We have a bracket challenge update from the UEFA Champions League bracket challenge presented by Eagles Tracker. Eagles Tracker covers everything you need to know surrounding Nigerian footy. Players in competition, matches, and merchandise, they've got it all, and we'll be handing out $500 to our UEFA Bracket Challenge champion here on Sports Tree. So make sure you give them a follow today at Eagles Tracker NG on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you sign on to Sports Tree and see where you stand out of a possible 4 points. Porto beat Juventus in a bracket buster. PSG down Barca in another upset. And Dortmund and Liverpool both took care of business. There are no perfect brackets left standing, so if you have 3 points, you are in good standing. Our guy Aaron Canton previews the round of 16 second half of the second leg on our sports blog under Sports Beat. So tune in because that went live on Thursday morning. And remember to log in to Sports Tree on our web app and you can see what's budding now on Sports Tree. And folks, be sure to follow Eagles Tracker as we said, because this bracket challenge is brought to you by Eagles Tracker. Our bump and stump of the week is a bit of a disturbing story, and it all starts with Myers Leonard. Who is Myers Leonard? Well, he plays for the Miami Heat, and he decided to drop an anti-Semitic slur while playing a video game. That's right, a video game. He decides to show the world his ignorance and call someone a derogatory term that rhymes with the word like. Outside of this disgusting fact, it's the fact that it's so casual that is the problem. Jonas Worth from the You Can Play Project said it best here on Sports Tree. It's the casual racism and homophobia that hurts teammates and friends and quite frankly yourself. It doesn't sound cool or funny, it's just immature and naive. We as a society need to educate ourselves enough to be able to express our frustration and feelings without degrading another's skin color, religion, or sexuality. We saw Justin Thomas do it on the PGA Tour. It simply is not okay and it does hurt people. Take time to educate yourself, be a big boy, put on your shoes, go to a library, read a book. Myers, you're a literal stump. And that brings us to our bump of the week. Our bump of the week has to go to Julian Edelman and his response. He didn't berate Leonard. He decided to give him an invitation to learn. New traditions that we don't necessarily understand are intimidating. Learning new things is scary. We naturally fear what we don't understand. I lit a menorah with my stepdad this year at our family home. I asked some questions and I learned a ton. When I came out as gay, we sat down and he asked questions. That's the part of growth, is understanding and learning and being better. Also, who the hell wouldn't want to go to a Shabbat dinner with Julian Edelman? That guy is a weapon. That would be an awesome time. Julian, thanks for taking a step forward in our society and showing us it's okay to make mistakes and that we all just need to learn to be a little bit better. Julian, you get our bump of the week. Coming in at number 3 this week on Trees 3 is the Formula 1. F1 racing hit the tracks this week for the season testing in Bahrain. New team Aston Martin hit the track for the first time. Driver Lance Stroll had the 4th fastest lap time of the day. Not bad for the Canadian kid. Mercedes had the fewest laps put out on the track of the day. The Silver Arrows struggled all day with gearbox issues, and the duo of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas combined for only 48 laps. Red Bull's Max Verstappen won the day with the fastest lap time, edging out McLaren's Lando Norris. It's a great sign for Red Bull Racing with the F1 season opening there in Bahrain in just 2 weeks' time. Coming in at number 2 this weekend on Trees 3 is the College Conference Basketball Championships. Everything gets set this weekend for March Madness. That's right, the NCAA Bracket Challenge all starts next week, and these are the games that are going to set the Bracket Challenge. Some teams have already won their conference and advanced to the Big Dance. Headlining that group is Gonzaga from the West Coast Conference, Winthrop representing the Big South, and Drexel from the Colonial Conference. Tournaments happening this weekend are the ACC from North Carolina, the Big East is taking place in New York, the Big Ten from Indianapolis, the Big 12 in Kansas City, and Nashville, Tennessee plays host to the SEC. Be sure to stay tuned to Sports Tree through the weekend and into next week to stay updated on yet another chance to win $500. All you have to do is sign up and play today. Coming in at number 1 this week here on Trees 3 is Combat Sports. After a perfect 5-0 on the UFC card last weekend, we're diving back into the Combat Sports, and it all starts at 4:20 on Saturday with Rise FC 6. You can watch the entirety of the card by downloading Imagine BC and paying just $4.20 for the pay-per-view. Headlining the card is the former Ultimate Fighter Tough Champion, the UFC veteran and friend of the show, Elias Theodoro, the main event. He's taking on Matt Dwyer. A great card of fights starts in the afternoon with a great broadcast team, so be sure to tune in and make sure you take Elias in that one. UFC Vegas 21 returns to the UFC Apex Center in Las Vegas on Saturday night, and we're going to jump right into this in typical Trees 3 fashion with our 3 favorite picks from the main card. But we're going to give you a little bonus pick because this fight was supposed to happen a few weeks ago. It's Ashley Yoder taking on Angela Hill, and make sure you take over the 1.5 rounds in this fight. Both these ladies average at least 13 minutes of octagon time in the UFC, and Ashley Yoder has actually gone to distance in all 8 of her UFC appearances. Angela Hill's gone to distance in 3 consecutive appearances, so make sure you take over the 1.5 rounds between these 2 ladies. The next bout that we're going to take a look at is Dan Ige versus Gavin Tucker, and again, we're going to take the over 1.5 rounds in this one, and here's why. Both these men average over 12.5 minutes of octagon time per fight and have won 3 out of their last 4 fights. Dan Ige is a natural striker, and Gavin Tucker, he can do it all. He likes to strike and wrestle, so look for this one to go long between 2 very competitive mixed martial artists. Our co-main event sees Misha Kirkanoff taking on Ryan Superman Spann, and I like Misha Kirkanoff in this one. He's had at least 1 takedown in every fight he's won inside the UFC, but in the 3 fights he hasn't won, he's been knocked out in the first round and twice in the first minute. Good news is for Kirkanoff is that Spann has been taken down 6 times in his last 5 fights and tires fast. Look for Spann to come out swinging and either catch Kirkanoff or get gassed, so Kirkanoff will take him down and submit him. Either way, I like the under 1.5 in this fight, but make sure you lean towards the Canadian Kirkanoff. For our main event between Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad, as Mike Goldberg would say, these 2 men are virtually identical. Both men have a record of 18-3, average over 13 minutes of octagon time per fight, land more than they receive, and average over 1 takedown per fight in the UFC. Wow. Edwards has won 8 fights in a row and is the bigger man, standing at 6'2" with a massive 74-inch reach. I like that to be the difference. Look for this fight to take its time, methodical striking and speed throughout. But both men will land, but look for Edwards to have the better of the exchanges with his speed and power. Take Edwards in the main event. And that leads us to our MKF play of the day. Make sure you take more on both of these men's significant strike lines in the main event. Folks, for a trivia question on this week's edition of Trees 3, we're going to have to keep it within the NCAA basketball field, seeing how March Madness all tips off this week. What college team has won the most men's Division I basketball tournaments? Name the team. If you can name how many times they've won it, you get an extra entry into our trivia raffle. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's edition of Trees 3. Folks, I'm Connor Roundtree. Cheers. You've made it to the weekend.
3, 2,